Here's a really great question, and it's yes or no. Yes, you can, but no, you can't for tall bottles. So pressure canners are made short because you don't have to have the jars submerged in water because it's all done by pressure and steam. So you can't really do quarts unless you have a pressure canner that is a double decker. They make some that are really tall. You just want to be able to make sure that you can submerge the jar totally under the water and that there's 1 to 2 inches above the water. I always go for 2 inches because you always have evaporation of water during your canning session. And if it reaches below the 1 inch mark, then you're in dangerous territory. However, you can take a regular stock pot and you can retrofit it with several of these. They're rings that go around the jars. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I have a regular pot, one that I cook all of my soups and stews that I can in. This is my canning pot. And then I have fashioned all of these rings all around the base. And then I could put all of my jars on top of the rings. Here's why. You don't want the jar to be on the floor of the pot. You want there to be water in between. It's not, the direct heat on the jar is not safe for the jar and you can cause more crack and damage. And you want a little cushion of the water around the underneath of the jar. And you don't want to burn the stuff that's in the food that's in the jar. So yeah, as long as you have some sort of pot, any kind of pot, that you can submerge the jar with 2 inches of water above, boiling water. So it's going to have a little lip that when it boils, it won't spill over. You should be good and golden. I actually used a stock pot I actually used that pot for the first several years that I started canning because I didn't have the money when I was young. I've actually been canning since my daughter was like 2 and we canned together. She doesn't know that, but we used to can together. And I used to use one of those pots because I didn't have the money for a canner. And then eventually I started finding canners and I don't think I paid for a water bath canner. Yeah. Ask people for Christmas. That's what I would do. It was a really great question.